Hi, I'm Leslie. This will be an all levels yoga flow class with an emphasis on hip openers. A couple of blocks will be helpful to have for this class. Before we get going, there will be a couple of poses about the middle of class where we'll have a little bit of weight on the top of our head. It won't be a full headstand, we'll just be flirting with the idea of a headstand. And I want to emphasize that when we are putting weight on the head, it doesn't come onto the very center of the top of your head. It comes about an inch or 2 inches forward of the center of the top of your head. So when you do have the head down on the floor, when we're at that point, just remember not the very center top of the head. It's about an inch forward, and that's going to keep the alignment proper in the neck. So let's begin. We can just start in a seated position, maybe sitting on a folded blanket or a bolster if you have it, and then close your eyes. This will be a breath-centric class. As always, yoga is primarily interested in the breath as the medium between mind and body. So the body is communicating with the mind and vice versa through the breath. And right now we're just observing this incredibly intricate, complex, and fragile system. You're relaxed as you breathe. And note with each inhale, you're breathing in oxygen molecules that is being transferred to red blood cells, sent to some 30 trillion cells in your body, exchanged for a carbon dioxide molecule, which then goes back to the lungs and you breathe it out. And all of this is happening without any effort or very little awareness on your part. You're just breathing, sitting here and watching all of this beautifully intricate, complex functions happening. So most of the blood flow in the lungs occurs in the bottom third of your lungs. However, we tend to breathe, as our society tends to breathe, in the top half of the lungs. Can you work on bringing the breath lower? Lower into the base of your lungs. Watch the diaphragm muscle moving up and down. And you're establishing a smooth, even breath rhythm that you'll maintain throughout this class. Two more breaths like this. Interlace the fingers in front of you. Exhale, push the palms forward. Broaden your shoulder blades. Tuck your chin. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Bend the elbows. Place the knuckles lightly on your head. Reach your arms back up. Inhale. Exhale, bring the knuckles close to the front of your body and then push your arms forward. And do that again. Inhale, pull the arms up. Exhale, bend the elbows close to your head. Inhale here, try to pull your fingers apart. Exhale, bring the knuckles close in front of your heart and push your arms forward. Reach up through the arms. Now release your hands. I'll mirror you for this. Bring your right hand down and your left arm up and over, side bend. Let the upper top arm circle down, swing low towards the ground, towards the left side. Place the left hand down. Inhale, pull your right arm up and back. Look back. Exhale, bring the right arm forward, swing lower to the ground, to the right again. Inhale, pull your left arm up, side bend, and pull yourself up. Both arms come up overhead, and then your left hand comes down. Stay here in the side bend. Swing low over your legs to the right. Right hand down. Inhale, left arm pulls up, and it pulls back. Turn your chest up. Exhale, bring the left arm back forward and swing low to the ground again to the left. Place the left hand down. Take the right arm up and over and reach your arms up. Okay. Lower both of your arms down. Let's twist to the right. Left hand outside the right leg. You're pushing down into both sit bones equally and reaching your spine up. Reach up through the crown of your head. And let's take this to the other side. Just swiveling your spine. Keep it long, lengthening up as you twist to the left. Can you balance the center, the base of your skull right on top of your spine? Come back through center. All right, let's come on to all fours, please. So start to move into your cat-cow, arching on the inhale, rounding on the exhale. Get your fingers spread, and so they're ready to go. Once we get more movement here, you may even want to like wag your tail a little bit. Get into the side hips, and then exhale, round through the spine. Inhale, arch again, and wag the tail a little bit. And exhale, round the spine. Good. Take your knees back a little bit. Shift back to child's pose for one exhale, and then you're going to shift forward onto the belly. Come all the way down. Roll your shoulders back. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, back to child's pose. One exhale here. Shift forward again. You might need to walk your hands forward a little bit. Lower the hips down. Inhale to cobra pose. And exhale back to child's pose. Stay here for 3 breaths. Forehead is resting down. Finding that Ujjayi breath. The Ujjayi breath just helps to open up those little air sacs right in the base of your lungs. Let's come on up to all fours. Spread your fingers, curl your toes, downward facing dog. There are other benefits of Ujjayi breath. Ujjayi breath, by the way, is that slight constriction to the back of your throat. And you breathe through the nose, and your breath takes on an audible whispering-like quality to it. It's going to sound as if you're trying to fog up a mirror or your glasses with your breath. Let your hips just shift up and down a little bit. Just alternate shifting one hip up and then the other. And then find a stillness in your downward facing dog. Rotate your toes to the left and your heels to the right. And wrap your right leg up and over your left thigh. So it's almost going to look like an eagle pose in your legs. Your left hip will be higher, your right hip is pointed down. And then shift forward to plank pose, bringing the right knee forward with you. Swing the leg out to the right, lift it up in the air. 3-legged dog, bend the knee. Straighten the right leg, square your hips, and step the right foot between your hands. Lower your back knee down. Let's reach the right arm up. Take your left hand out to the left another inch or so, and wrap the right arm around to the opposite hip and twist to the right. Let's start to come onto the outer edge of your right foot and turn the knee away from you. So move the knee out to the right as you lean back, taking your right shoulder back. Push the top of the right hand into the opposite hip. And then reach your right arm up and around. You're going to place the sole of the right foot down. Straighten your back knee. And then walk your hands over to the back of your mat. Stay in a side lunge. And then just shift side to side here. Skandasana. Pushing the weight down into the feet. Hips can stay higher up if your knees don't like a deep flexion. And once you're at the top of the mat, rotate forward to a lunge and step it back to downward facing dog. So we'll keep a fairly smooth clip going through the class here today. It won't be a vigorous, quick vinyasa. but it will be a fairly continuous clip. So you can rest in downward dog at any time. So let's rotate the toes to the right and the heels to the left. There'll be more weight in your left foot. And wrap your right thigh up and around the left leg, almost like an eagle pose. So fingers are still spread, pushing your hands forward. Try to move your outer right hip back. And then we'll shift the shoulders forward, bring the left knee forward, point it out to the left, and then swing it up and back behind you. Open the hip and bend the knee. Scorpion dog. Straighten the legs, square your hips, and step the left foot between your hands. Lower your back knee down. Now bring your right hand just out to the edge of your mat, a little wider. Take your left arm up, twist, and then wrap that left arm around behind the opposite hip. Roll onto the outer edge of your left foot, and your left knee is moving away from you. So starting to get into outer hip here a little bit. Keep drawing your left shoulder back. Don't just slouch down in the right shoulder. You're pressing up and out of it as you lean back, as the knee moves away from you. Take your left arm back and around to the mat and downward facing dog. Reach your heels back, reach your thigh creases back. One more breath here, making yourself long. And then walk your feet to the top of the mat. Forward fold. Just pause here a moment. You can be on the knuckles of your hands, or you can have your palms to the floor or hands on blocks. Your knees can be straight or bent, whichever would suit your body needs right now. Inhale and lengthen halfway forward. Turn your toes out, take your feet a little wider, and come down into a squat. So your elbows are at your inner knees, and you're lifting up through the spine, trying to bring your spine as vertical as you can. Your elbows are widening your knees apart. And if the heels don't come down to the floor, try placing a folded blanket under your heels. It'll help your reduce strain in your Achilles tendons. From here, let's just start to shift the hips over one foot and then the other. So it's a little bit of a swivel action, and then I'm going to lift the heel that I'm shifting towards. So you come onto the ball of one foot and then place that heel down and come onto the ball of the other foot. So you're just kind of rotating in like almost a semi-circle here, shifting from side to side. Now to make this a little tougher in the legs, a little more strength going, you're going to remove your elbows from your knees. So you just have the weight straight down into your feet, still shifting side to side. Maybe you have your fingers on blocks here if you need to, making your spine more upright, shifting more of the weight back. Hopefully feeling this in the legs by now. I am. And then lower your heels and straighten your legs. Bring your feet under the hips, parallel your feet, Uttanasana, forward fold. Watching the blood flow back into the legs again. And then from here, push down into your feet and rise up to stand. Arms reach up overhead. And hands to your heart. Exhale. Find your mountain pose here. So don't lock the back of your knees. Push through the four corners of your feet. Engage the legs, so lift the flesh of your thighs, but just don't lock your knees back. That's going to create some strain over time in your knee joints. So a little tiny micro bend in the knees, tiny micro bend. And then from there you're pushing down into the feet and you're lifting up all the way up through the spine, all the way through the crown of your head. Close your eyes. And release your arms down. Exhale. Push into the feet. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, come forward and down, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward. Step back to plank pose. One vinyasa here. Inhale, lengthen the crown of the head forward, shift forward, lower down, bending the elbows. Inhale, come into upward dog. You can also do cobra. Exhale to downward facing dog. We're going to do a movement that is going to look kind of like a water wheel. So shift forward to plank pose, inhale. Bend the elbows and point them back. Bend the knees and push your weight back like you're in a crouching position here. And then straighten your legs, downward dog. Shift forward to plank pose. Bend your elbows out, point them back, bend your knees, shift your weight back towards your feet, straighten your legs, arms, downward dog. And again, now just make it more fluid. Shift forward, bend the elbows. This is sometimes called turbo dog, where you shift your weight back, knees are bent, and then downward dog, and then inhale to plank. Exhale through turbo dog, straighten your legs. One more, inhale, plank. Exhale, bend your elbows, bend your knees, turbo dog, and downward dog. Lift your right leg up into the air behind you. So you can bend the knee here and just start to rotate the thigh bone around right from the center of the hip socket. 3 times around, and then you'll circle the other way. And next time the knee's at its highest point, open the hip, pull the heel in closer, and then straighten the legs, square your hips. Step the right foot between your hands. Inhale up to crescent warrior. Arms reach up. Exhale, warrior 2. We'll dance this out. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Forearm to thigh, side angle pose. Exhale. Inhale, reverse this. Exhale, side angle pose. One more time. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Keep your inner right knee pointing forward. Exhale, side angle pose. Come to warrior 2. Pause here. Windmill your hands to the floor. Step back to downward dog. Come back into that crouching position with your knees bent, your hips hiked high, your elbows bent and pointing down. And then shift straight forward to chaturanga. Inhale to upward dog. Exhale back to that crouching position or that turbo dog position. So you have your knees bent, your elbows are bent and pointed down. Look forward. Shift forward to chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog, toes are curled under. Downward facing dog. Take your left leg up into the air behind you. Bend the knee and start to rotate the leg around in circles, moving from the center of the hip socket 3 times around, and then you'll reverse. Go the other way. Keep your core engaged here. Once the knee's at its highest point, open the hip up, pull the heel in towards you. Straighten the legs, square your hips. Step the left foot between your hands. Inhale up to crescent warrior, arms reach up. Exhale to warrior 2. And inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. So make sure that the left inner knee is pointing forward this whole time. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale to side angle. Forearm comes to thigh, top arm reaches over. One more. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. Reach out long forward. Inhale just to warrior 2. And windmill the hands to the floor. Step back, downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide. Push the floor away from you. And then look forward and step to the top of the mat. Lengthen when you get there. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Push straight down into the feet. Inhale, rise up to stand. Arms come up overhead. Hands to your heart. Exhale. Stay here for 1 breath. Inhale. Ujjayi breath. And exhale. Lower the arms down by your side. Inhale, push down into the feet, reach up. Exhale, forward and down, Uttanasana. Lengthen halfway, inhale. If you want to jump back, that's fine. to move through your vinyasa, or you can step back, lower chaturanga. You can do knees down, upward dog or cobra. Inhale, shoulders back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pause here and breathe. Lower your knees down to the floor. We're going to do a little sequence here. So if your knees don't like deep flexion, you probably will not like this toe squat, which looks like this. So just know that we're going to come from camel pose to chair pose. So if that means hands to the floor and then chair, then that will be your option. Otherwise, we're going to see if we can go through a toe squat. So start in camel with your toes curled under. Your legs are together. Hands to the back of your hips and lift up through the heart. It helps to keep the legs together. As you bring your hips back, try to lift your knees and balance on the balls of your feet. And then lift your hips higher, lower your heels. Inhale, reach your arms up to chair. Exhale, come back into that toe squat. You're just hovering right on the balls of the feet. Lower the knees down. Inhale to camel pose. Hands to the low back. I've got my fingers pointing up. And then exhale, hips come back. Lift the knees, balance, toe squat. Lower the heels. Inhale, reach the arms up to chair. Exhale, lower the arms and the hips, lift the heels. Let's do one more. Knees to the floor. This time, little challenge. Interlace the fingers behind you and then keep your fingers interlaced. As you lean back, lift the knees, balance. Lower the heels, and then instead of chair, come into a forward fold. But keep the knees bent. Let the torso just rest on the front of the thighs. Come up through chair. Lower the hips, lift the heels, toe squat. Lower the knees, inhale, camel pose variation. Lower the hands to the floor. Downward facing dog. All right. Lift your right leg up into the air behind you. Open the hip, bend the knee. Lower the left forearm down. So the elbow is down under your shoulder. You're pushing into the right hand. Look out under your right arm. And then you'll square off your hips and lower your right forearm down. So both forearms are down parallel to each other. You're in a one-legged dolphin pose with your hips level. So they're both about the same height. Now in one sweep, we're going to step the right foot between the hands and come up to crescent. So that means you've got to push into your hands and straighten your elbows. So look forward and then bend the knee, push onto your hands, lift the elbows, step the right foot forward. Inhale, rise up to crescent. Exhale, warrior two. Okay, reach your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers, push your palms up. So just double check the alignment of your feet. Front heel lines with the arch of the back foot. And you're going to just start to swivel the hips in this kind of, maybe it looks goofy, maybe it looks sexy. I guess it's the eye of the beholder. But you're not moving your front knee. You're keeping the front knee pointing straight forward. We're just kind of getting a little loose through the hips here. Circle your hips the other way. It's also some core control. You're just limiting this movement, this small circular movement to your hips and breathing. And then release that circular action, warrior two. And then straighten your front leg and come into horse pose with your toes turned out, your knees out wide. Bring your arms out to the side. So bring your front hand towards your back hand and twist to the back. Inhale, open up. Exhale, back hand towards the front hand, twist to the front. Inhale, open. Exhale, twist to the back. Inhale, open. Your arms stay parallel to the floor and straight. Exhale to the front. Inhale, open. One more time to the back. There should be some core, mostly oblique work. One more. And open. Straighten your legs, parallel your feet. Hands to your hips. Let's lift up through the spine. Let's exhale, take it forward and down into Prasarita Padottanasana. Place the hands on the floor under you. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Now heel toe your feet out a little wider. Your hands will come back to that space between your feet, but they're still shoulder distance apart.
Bend your elbows and see if you can get the crown of the head down to the floor. And if you can't, widen your feet out even more. And if you still can't, don't worry about doing this. Don't worry about it. So remember in the beginning, when we were seated, I mentioned the top of the head. You want to put some weight not on the center of the top of the head, more just slightly forward of the center of the head. Now here we go. We're going to see if we can bring the knees onto the upper arm. So bend your knees and see if you can place the kneecaps right on your triceps. And here we are on our hands, our two hands and the top of the head. And we're almost in a crow pose. So can you come up, lifting the head and balancing in a crow pose without tipping your feet down to the floor? And then we'll come out the same way we came in. So tuck the chin, lower the head down, take the feet out wide, and press yourself back up halfway. Hands under the shoulders. That wasn't so bad, right? Turn your right toes forward, lunge facing forward, and come into downward facing dog. Now that was quite a lot on the wrists potentially, so let's lower the knees down and just stretch the wrists by interlacing the fingers behind you and pressing the knuckles down. Lift up through the hips. Why not try just one more of these toe balance series? So legs are together, hips are forward, camel pose, and then sit back on your heels, lift the knees, see if you can hover, balancing on the balls of the feet, and then lower the heels down, chair pose. Come forward, releasing the arms away from your back. Keep the fingers interlaced. Let the crown of the head point down. Inhale, come up to chair pose, keeping the fingers behind you. Lower the hips, lift the heels. Lower the knees, camel pose. Release the hands, downward dog. All right, other side. Let's lift the left leg up behind you, open the hip and the knee, bring the right forearm down, elbow comes under your shoulder, look out under your left arm. And then you'll straighten the left leg, square your hips, and bring your left forearm down as well. So make your forearms symmetrical, make them parallel to each other. Push the palms of your hands down, look forward. We're going to step into a crescent warrior. So it means as you step forward, you lift your elbows. So ready, here we go. Swing the left foot forward, lift the elbows. Rise on up, crescent warrior, inhale. Warrior 2, exhale. Reach the arms up, interlace the fingers, push the palms up. Check that your left knee is pointing directly forward. And you're just doing these little hip circles. It's not a big movement. Think of it as, it's two things. It's core control. And just getting a little bit of movement, a little bit of lubrication going in the hips. And then go the other way. The hips represent the water element. Or I guess it's the other way around. The water element is represented in the hips. So we're just finding that water element. Come back to regular warrior 2, arms out to the side. And then you'll straighten your front leg. Find horse pose, a little different this time. Horse pose facing the long edge of the mat, so toes and the knees are turned out. Let's reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, side bend towards the back of the mat, just letting that arm drape down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, side bend towards the front. Left arm drapes down. Inhale up. Exhale, side bend to the back of the mat. Inhale, both arms up. And side bend to the front of the mat. Inhale up. Straighten the legs. Parallel your feet. Hands to the hips. Lift up through the crown of the head. Hinge forward. Bring the hands to the floor. Lengthen halfway. And then walk the hands back between the feet. Crown of the head points down. Start to walk your feet out wider until the top of the head comes down. Now you're creating a tripod shape here. So the wrists are under your elbows. You're on that space just slightly forward of the crown of your head. And to bring the knees up, walk the feet in a little bit, place the knees up on the triceps. And then to come into crow, You lift your head, and can you balance looking down, balancing on your hands in your crow pose? We're going to come out the same way we came in. So tuck the chin, place the top of the head down. Take the feet out to the side and press up off of your hands. Walk to the front of the mat. Left foot faces forward. Downward facing dog. Lower your knees down to the floor. Little different sequence this side. This time let's come up to high kneeling. And shift your hips back, reach your arms forward. Inhale, hips forward, arms reach up. I'll angle myself slightly. Take your right leg out to the side. Exhale, side bend over the right leg. Inhale, come up, bring the right knee in. Exhale, sit back on your heels, reach your arms forward. Inhale, arms circle out and up, hips forward. Step the left foot out to the side and exhale, side bend over the left leg. Inhale, come up, bring the left knee under. Exhale, sit on your heels, push the palms forward, tuck the chin. Inhale, rise up one more time through, hips come under you. Step the right leg out and exhale, side, bend over the right leg. Inhale, come up, bring the right knee under you. Exhale, sit on the heels, push the palms forward. I have my fingers pointing down. Inhale, rise up, arms sweep up. Step the left foot out. Exhale, side bend to the left. Inhale, come up, knee comes under you. And place the hands down on the floor, downward facing dog. Look forward, step or jump to the top of your mat. Lengthen halfway when you get there. Exhale and fold. Stay here for one more breath. Inhale. Don't lock the back of your knees. Exhale. Push down into the feet. Rise up to stand. Inhale, arms reach up. Hands to the heart. Exhale. Pause here for a breath. Pause in your mountain pose. Close your eyes. Make yourself even, symmetrical. Feel the earth under your feet. Feel the space right above the crown of your head and lift up into that space. Lower the arms, exhale. Push down into the feet, inhale, reach up. Exhale, come forward and down, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen halfway forward. Step back or jump back, move through your final vinyasa. Upward dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Find your breath here. Smooth, even breathing. And last one. Lift your right leg up into the air, open the hip, bend the knee. We're going to try out a little bit of a balance here. Place the left hand under the shoulder. Most of the weight will be on your right hand and your left foot. Now look forward and shift a little more weight into the right hand. The fingers are spread wide. Look more towards the front of the mat. Now pull the right heel in closer towards you, and you're going to try to either tap or briefly hold your left hand to the right foot. So look forward, shift slightly forward, weight in the fingertips, either tap or slightly hold, briefly hold the top foot, and then release the hand, take the right leg up into the air, left hand comes down, right leg is up, and then step the right foot forward between your hands. Inhale, rise up to crescent warrior. Exhale to warrior two. Roll through the shoulders here. We're going to do a little bit of a circulate movement with the arms. So let's let the arms come down past the right knee. This is the exhale. Inhale, they sweep up and you straighten your front leg. And then exhale, down by the right knee. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Reach up. Exhale like a wood chopper down towards the knee. Inhale up, straighten the front leg. So moving your arms in a circulate pattern. As you lean back, you straighten your front leg. As you lean forward, you kind of chopping your arms down just outside the right knee. So it's a little bit of a twisting action. as you're making these big range of motion movements with your arms. Bending and straightening the front knee. A little bit of choreography going on here. Let's do one more. And then next time we come down into our wood chopper, we'll take it into a twist. So lift your back heel and take your left elbow outside the right knee and stay here. Straighten out through the back leg. Hug your outer hips in. We'll take this into revolved half moon pose. Here's where your block will be helpful. So left hand to block. Square off your hips, so reach your left leg behind you and turn your right arm up, twist to the right, reaching up tall through the top arm, reaching back through the back leg. Don't let the back leg fall asleep. Trying to touch the wall behind you with your back foot. And then step the left foot down, windmill up and around to face the left side of your mat. Here we are again. Feet are parallel. Hands on your hips. Lift up through the crown of the head. You ready for another go of our balancing into crow pose? Let's come forward, hands to the floor. Always optional. Remember, I said this was an all levels class, so that means you take the poses that you're comfortable with. If you want to stay here in the forward fold and not try to bring the head down to the floor, that is completely fine. Also in this class, it's not my intention to come all the way up into a tripod headstand. We're just playing with the idea of having some weight on the head. So if you want to give that another shot, take your feet out wider, bring the top of the head down to the floor, create a tripod between your two hands, under your elbows and your head. And then bring the knees back onto the triceps, lift the feet, slowly start to shift some weight back, enough to lift your head and balance in crow pose. 2 more breaths here. And then lower the crown of the head. Now, stay here on your tripod. We're not going to come all the way up with straight legs. We're just going to see if we can lift the knees a few inches off of the triceps. Lower the knees, tap them down, lift them back up again. These are like reverse abdominal crunches. Tap the knees down to the triceps, lift your hips back up. Lower the knees onto the triceps. You're going to come back up into crow. And then from crow, just take your feet out wide, back into our forward fold. Walk your hands to the front of the mat, right toes point forward. We're going to really stretch the wrists out after that. So just step back and lower the knees down. And we're not even going to do the toe squat. We're just going to interlace the fingers behind and press the knuckles down. Squeeze the palms towards each other. Lift your hips. That was a lot of forward bending that we just did. So let's counterpose that with just a little fun camel series. So bring the right hand, with your toes curled under, bring the right fingertips down to the right heel and lift your left arm up. And then just swing your body forward and around to the left hand to the heel, right arm reaches up. Lower and swing lower to the ground. Right hand back to the heel, left arm up, hips are forward. And again, your hips come back as you swing around to the left hand to the heel, hips forward, right arm up. There we go, let's come up. And hands to the floor. Downward dog. One more. Left leg rises behind you, open the hip and bend the knee. Okay, this is one where we try to either just tap the foot or maybe hold it for a second or maybe more than a second. So it takes a bit of practice. So look forward and shift very slightly forward. Bring the right hand just under the shoulder. There's very little weight in your right hand. It's mostly in your left hand. You've got the fingers spread. Pull the heel in closer towards you so you can touch it with your right hand. Look forward, look forward. This is my wobbly side. So see if you can bring right hand to left foot. Maybe tap it, maybe hold it. And then bring the right hand back down to downward dog. Square off the hips, straighten the left leg. Step the left foot between your hands. Inhale to crescent warrior, arms reach up. Exhale to warrior 2. Okay. Remember the big circle 8 movements with the arms? So start with your arms. As you exhale, they kind of chop down outside the left thigh, come up, straighten the leg, and down to the back hip. So Swing down on the exhale and up, and exhale. Exhale down, inhale up. Exhale, bend the knees, swing down, inhale up, straightening the leg. Circulate the arms. Exhale as you lean forward and bend the knee. Inhale as you come up and straighten the leg. Let's do a few more times like this. Now that we have a nice rhythm going, check that the knee is not pointing out to the right. The left knee is pointing straight forward. Next time as we come down, we'll come into our twist. Lift your back heel, palms together, right elbow outside the left knee. Reach the spine forward, reach your right heel back farther. And then revolved half moon pose, right hand to block. Push down into your left foot, level your hips, reach your right leg back, and really lengthen it. Be active in your back leg. It tends to fall asleep in this pose. So can you push, push, push like you're trying to touch the wall behind you with your back foot, and then turn the left arm, reach the left arm up as you twist. Spread the toes of your back foot. That helps to connect the foot to the brain, neurologically, not literally. So the brain knows what the foot is doing when you keep the toes spread. And then we'll release the hands, step back to windmill up and around, face the long edge of your mat, the right side of your mat. Hands to the hips. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to give ourselves a break this time around. We're just going to do a shoulder stretch. So feet are wide and parallel to each other. Interlace the fingers behind you, lift up through the heart. And exhale, take it forward. Let the arms move away from your back. Bend the knees here a little bit, just for a moment, just so you can lift up through the sit bones a little bit more. Move the shoulders back and away from the ears. And then you can either stay here with your knees bent or start to slowly straighten them, but don't lock through the back of the knees. That is hyperextension of the joints, and that could lead potentially to some tissue strain over time. Connective tissue strain over time. Bring the hands back to the floor, lengthen halfway. Walk your hands to the front of the mat, left toes forward. Come back, downward dog. And lower the knees wide and come into child's pose. You're welcome. Remember that appreciation of the breath. All of the detailed, intricate physiological actions that your breath, your lungs, and your capillaries and your heart are all doing to keep that oxygen pumping through all of the 30 trillion cells in your body and removing the waste material from the cells, the carbon dioxide. Lift your head and come back onto all fours. We're going to do a pigeon sequence here. So come into downward facing dog. Lift your right leg up into the air behind you, and then bring your right shin forward into pigeon pose. Your right knee is just behind the wrist, and you can have the shin angled as far back or forward as you need to. All of our hips are different, so just you can have your right foot under the left hip if you need to. We're going to stay up. On our second go around of pigeon sequence, we will come down, but for now we're going to stay up, and we're going to see if we can balance upright. Now, unfortunately, this is kind of an anti-pigeon because we are using more strength than we are stretching when we try to come up and balance the hands off of the floor. So we've got to hug the outer hips in, push down into your front shin, get lighter on your hands, so maybe you're up on the fingertips. Maybe bring the hands up onto your front leg. Maybe float the arms off the floor. Hug the hips in, push down into the front foot. This is not just being wobbly. This is going to take the pressure off of the low back if we use the strength of the legs. I know this is a lot, so take it down. Bring your hands wider, just beyond the edges of the mat, and come up onto the finger pads. So you've got spider fingers. And then exhale, you're going to lower the heart down, bend the elbows. And inhale, lift up from the back of the heart. So a little bit of an undulation in the spine. Exhale, let the heart lead forward. Inhale, press yourself up. Exhale, lowering the heart. Inhale, press up. All right, stay up. Hands come back under the shoulders. Now come onto the right hip
and swing your left leg straight forward, hovering the leg, right hand to outside of the left foot, left arm reaches back. You're twisting to the left. You have your left leg forward. You can always have the knee bent if the hamstrings are tight. Otherwise, straighten the leg and push it forward into the hand, reaching your left arm back. And we'll take this into another twist. So you're going to cross the left leg over the right, just our simple seated twist, Ardha Matsyendrasana. So both of the sit bones root down, hug your left leg in, lift up, and then twist this to the left. Bring in the left arm behind you, hugging your top leg in as you twist left. Unwind this twist and come into a boat pose. So pause here. Actually, let's straighten the legs. Why not? And then lower down into a half boat. Cross the right ankle over the left. Straighten your legs. Push the feet out into each other like you're trying to snap them apart, but don't. And just push, push, push out into the feet. And hovering the upper body. Keep the feet pressing into each other. Bend your knees and pull yourself up into boat. Press back into half boat. Keep pushing the feet into each other. Pull up, inhale, boat. Exhale to half boat. Inhale to boat. One more time, half boat. And you're going to come up with your shins crossed. Here's where I'm going to use the blocks because I have short arms. We're going to see if we can come up and hover our hips. So cross your shins, pull them in tight. And I'm going to use the blocks here. If you have long arms, maybe you don't need the blocks. Push into the blocks and lift your hips up completely off the floor. And then feet down and come back to downward facing dog. And if you have gloriously long arms, you might even be able to swing your legs back to down dog, but anatomically, I'm just not built that way. So left leg up into the air behind you. Inhale. Exhale, left shin comes forward, pigeon pose, stay upright. Oh dear, the anti-pigeon. I promise you we're going to have a longer pigeon hold shortly. Next go around. So bring your hands in closer, maybe up onto your front leg. Now already, if you really relax through your front leg and hip, it's all going to go into the low back, and that's not good. So we want to hug the outer hips in, like you're scissoring your legs in towards each other. Push down into the front shin, lift up higher, maybe float the arms back behind you. Your left glutes are doing a ton of work, but that's probably really bleeding obvious right now. So let's take one more breath here. And hallelujah. Lower the hands down, bring them out wide. Come on to finger pads, so tenting your hands up. And lower the heart down. Front of the heart leads, the elbows bend, and then inhale, lift from the back of the heart, lift up. Exhale, lower the heart down. The spine is just undulating here. The head is the last to come up. Exhale, lowering the front of the heart down. Inhale, back of the heart, lift. Stay here. Walk the hands under the shoulders. Lower the left hip down. Swing your right leg forward. Reach the left hand across for the outside of the right foot, and then push the foot forward into the hand to any degree that you can. Maybe the knee stays bent, maybe you're straightening the leg and it's angled up. Reach your right arm back and twist. Look towards the back of your mat. Keep the spine lengthening up as you twist. And then we'll find our traditional seated twist. So just your left hand is guiding that right foot up and over to the floor just outside the bottom leg. Both of your sit bones are rooted down equally. Hug your right leg in, lift up, inhale. And then bring the right hand behind you and twist to the right. You're hugging your right leg in. Lift the spine up. Get both of the sit bones down if you can. If you cannot, sit on a folded blanket. That will help to level your hips, which will make the spine symmetrical. Come back through center. Unravel the legs one more time. Boat pose. Lower down to half boat. This time the left ankle crosses over the right. Keep your legs straight. Push them away from you and push the feet out into each other. And it's really going to fire up your core. Pause here.
Keep pushing, pushing, pushing into the feet, and then rise up to boat pose, knees bent, push into the feet. Exhale, lower to half boat, straightening the legs. Inhale to boat. Exhale to half boat, inhale to boat. Stay here, either hands to the floor. You pull your heels in. Maybe you lift your hips from here, but I'm going to cheat and grab my blocks. So pull your heels and your legs in really close to you. Push straight down into your hands and lift your hips. Maybe you swing your legs back. Maybe you need to cheat and place your feet down under you and then step back to downward dog. Sometimes I cheat. Downward facing dog. And you know, we all have different proportions of bone lengths in our bodies. This bone compared to that bone, different proportions, and so we're all going to express the poses differently. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, a really truly pigeon pose. So right shin comes forward, your knee is angled out to the right a little bit. And before we come into our low pigeon, we're going to reach for the back, your left foot, and just pull the heel in towards you, going for the quad stretch. If you want to bring your right hand onto a block, I'm not going to have you hover the hand because we already did a lot of work with that already. So pull the heel in. And then release the foot down, and now come down. Now lately I like practicing pigeon with a block right underneath my low ribs, my sternum. It just takes just enough pressure off of that front hip so that I'm not struggling with the pose. I've been working with this pose for going on 20 years, and I still like to have a little bit of support, either a blanket under the hip or this block under the sternum or a bolster under the sternum. It creates more ease, and the nervous system can just relax in this without struggling with the pose. Breathe here. Breathe into the back of your lungs. So the back of your lungs have more surface space. So there's more oxygen going into the back of the lungs because there's just more bronchial tubes, more air sacs or the alveoli. Breathe into the back lungs. And then lift up onto your hands. And nothing fancy, just downward facing dog. Pause here for a couple of breaths. Push the floor away from you, reach your hips back. And left shin forward, pigeon pose. Left shin forward, stay upright. And we're going to reach for the right foot. And option, you can have your left hand on a block here. So bending the right knee and pull the heel in towards you. Whatever grip you prefer here, if you want to hold the inner edge of the foot, I didn't show you this the first time around, but you can pivot your elbow up and curl your fingers over the tops of the toes, and that will help to stretch through the right shoulder a little bit and it pulls the heel in closer. And then you'll release the right foot down, and you'll lower your torso down. Having a bolster is really lovely in this pose to place right under your torso, if you have one, or just use the block. I've got the block on the medium position, and I'm just folding my front body down on top of the block. So it's just creating a little bit of a shelf, and it takes some of the pressure off of the left hip. So the left hip is still getting a really nice stretch. It's just not too much of a stretch, if you know what I mean. It's like that Goldilocks, is Mama Bear, Papa Bear, Baby Bear. One of them is too much, one is too soft, and one is just right. Let's lift ourselves up. Move the block, and we're just going to roll down onto the left hip again, swing the right leg forward this time, and we'll roll down onto our backs. So we'll do one bridge pose, one twist, and then we'll find our savasana. So go ahead and lay on your back, set up for your bridge pose. Heels are under your knees, arms are by your side. Let's push down into the feet and lift the hips up and pause here. all four corners of your feet are pressing down. Sometimes we roll onto the outer edges of the feet in this pose, which means we're using a little too much of the glutes. So we want to push down as well into the inner edges of the feet, and then we're balancing out the action here. It's also quads, it's a little bit of hamstrings. You can roll the upper arms under you if you want. You can interlace the fingers under you if you'd like. Breathe across the front of your chest. Breathe into the base of your lungs. And lower the hips down all the way. Pause here before you do anything else. Just bring your feet wide and your knees together. And just let the low back fan out here. Keep the feet wide, release the knees apart, and take your arms out wide to the side, and let the knees just windshield wiper from side to side and go nice and slow. So you exhale as the knees come to the side and inhale as they come up. Exhale to twist, inhale to come up. You're rolling onto the edges of your feet. Next time your knees are to the right, let them stay there. Reach out longer through the left arm. If you want a slightly deeper twist, place the right foot outside the left thigh. Every exhale, you're just letting go any tension that is remaining in the body. It's like you're cleansing the energy channels with each breath. It doesn't have to be a forceful or exaggerated breath. It's just intentional. Release the right foot. Inhale, your knees come back up. Exhale, your knees over to the left. Reach out a little longer through the right arm. And then if you want a deeper twist here, left foot comes outside the right thigh. Close your eyes. And every exhale, you're breathing through the nose. Every exhale, you're letting go of any tension in the body. It's not an exaggerated exhale, but it is a little bit longer than your normal breath. Release the foot from the thigh. Bring your knees back up. Hug both of your legs in towards you. Rock a little bit from side to side, massaging through the back of the hips. And stretch your legs out in front of you. Find Shavasana. Let the toes slightly turn away from each other, so that way we know the glutes are relaxed. Can you make the bones of your body, left and right side, symmetrical? So the left and right shoulder blade are symmetrical on the floor. And then both sides of your hips. If you need to shift and move around a little bit to find that symmetry, please do. Eyes are closed here, palms are face up. Now let go of control of the breath, but continue to observe the breath. You're watching the journey of an oxygen molecule as it comes in through the nostrils, down the trachea, enters the lungs, finds its way into one of several billion air sacs or alveoli. It gets transferred to a single red blood cell and moves through the body and eventually finds its way into the mitochondria of a cell. And this happens over and over and over. This is precious life.
This supports your health, your vibrancy, so you can reach your fullest potential. Smile at the internal body, at all of the work every single cell in your body is doing to keep you healthy. And then begin to move through the fingers and the toes. Start to bend the knees, place the feet on the floor, or hug the legs in towards you. And roll over to one side, please. Use your hands to press yourself up to seated. Hands come together at the heart. Thank you for taking your time out of the day to practice, and thank you for joining me for this yoga practice. I hope to see you soon. Namaste.